Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody, and we are going to talk about the bacteria that's in your gut that affects your mind and emotional state. And it's so exciting to me to see so much research that is coming forth on this, and something I've suspected for a really long time, that if you have a healthy gut, this also leads to a healthier emotional state. And before I found cultured foods, I was a very different person, physically and emotionally. And as a young woman, all the way probably into my late 30s, and even, into my late 30s, I'm saying I could get upset very easily. I didn't smile often. I simply wasn't that as happy as I could be. And sometimes I'm sad to say that I was grouchy and snapped at my kids. But when I started to eat cultured foods, all of that changed. And I remember the summer I started to clean up my diet. And I started eating cultured foods. And I started to realize that I wasn't getting cross with my kids or being upset anymore like I used to be. And I began to wonder how foods, especially cultured foods, could change someone's state of being so much. And since then, I realized more and more is coming up on research about this that helps me understand why this happened in my life. An article published in Natural News talks about a study out of Oxford University in the UK, and it was led by Dr. Drew Ramsey. And the article discussion talks about Dr. Ramsey's findings, and what he said was nutritional deficiency is a major cause of behavioral abnormalities. And without the proper nutrients, the body cannot produce the appropriate chemicals and hormones required for clear thinking, healthy mood, which in turn can lead to irrational and even dangerous behavior. The study he conducted was an attempt to see just how diet affects mood and behavior. And it was actually done with prison inmates that were split into two groups. The first group was given vitamin supplements, and the second group was given a diet of junk food. And what he found was the people in the first group became much calmer and less aggressive. And a nutritionist named Nicolette Pace said deficiencies in nutrients like magnesium, manganese, vitamin C, or B vitamins may make a person hyperactive towards a stressor or short fuse, so to speak. And junk food just doesn't give your body what it needs to cope with day-to-day stresses. And that means that anything you can do to help your body absorb more nutrients, such as getting more healthy bacteria in your gut, is going to help your emotional state. More vitamins, more minerals, more enzymes, more good bacteria, all of those things are going to allow your body to absorb the nutrients that you need and to help your body to function well, but not only that, to help your mind function. There was also a compelling link between gut health and mental health that was established by a study led by John Cyran, and he is a neuroscientist in Ireland. And in his study, they tested these mice, and they were very anxious, and they dosed them with some probiotic bacterium, and I believe it was Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which showed lower levels of anxiety, decreased stress hormones, and even an increase in brain receptors for a neurotransmitter that is vital in curing worry, anxiety, and fear. And so why would giving them that probiotic supplement, what would make that happen? One reason is that 90% of the body's total serotonin, and that's the, that feel-good chemical that leads to happiness and a sense of kind of well-being, is produced in the digestive tract. And only 5% is produced in the brain. And I didn't know that for many, many years until I started researching what probiotics did. And so let's talk about this, because this will help you understand more. Okay, serotonin is different. It's produced in different locations in the body. In the brain, it acts as a neurotransmitter. And in the peripheral, it can even act as a hormone. Serotonin does not cross the blood-brain barrier. Therefore, the two major pools remain separated. Although 95% of the serotonin is produced in the gut and is peripheral, its functions have been ignored until just recently. Peripheral serotonin is produced in the digestive tract by EC cells, and this is a particular type of immune cells. And researchers at Caltech found that EC cells from germ-free mice produce 60% less serotonin than their peers did with conventional bacterial colonies in them. So the mice that were germ-free and didn't have that bacteria in their guts produced 60% less serotonin. When these germ-free mice were recolonized with normal gut microbes, the serotonin levels went back up, showing that the deficiency in serotonin can be reversed, which is very important. On June 18th, 2015, there was a new study that was done. And it was really interesting because it was a study done on helping cure social anxiety in young adults. And it used a diet that was rich in fermented foods and drinks that were likely to contain probiotics. Now, social anxiety, it's a disorder that fills you with like fear of being judged by others or embarrassed in front of them in ordinary situations. And it's really hard on our kids. They worry about, I did it when I was growing up. I was always worried about it. And it's harder on young people. They seem to struggle with it. Of course, some adults do too, but it seems to be more prevalent in school-aged children. And this research looked into whether eating fermented foods help people get more out of traditional treatments like medication or cognitive behavioral therapy. They wanted to see if they could change their gut and see if those types of foods helped with this. And so the study was done, and it was published in Psychiatric Research, and included 710 students. And they went to the College of William and Mary, and they were taking psychology courses. And they filled out the questionnaire about what kind of fermented foods they ate, eating habits, how worried or neurotic they tended to be, and said whether or not they had social anxiety. And the questionnaire asked about a variety of foods, including foods like, they asked them if they ate yogurt, kefir, soy milk, miso soup, sauerkraut, dark chocolate, juices that contain microalgae that, had the green algae in them, pickles, tempeh, kimchi, things like that. They asked them if they ate these foods. Well, not all of these foods necessarily have live active cultures. Most of them did, but still they had the potential to have a lot of good bacteria and prebiotics in them too. So researchers considered all the factors, including eating healthy foods, the amount of exercise in their finding. And after the study was done, the researchers analyzed their answers, looking for an underlying pattern. And among those reporting like a neurotic disposition, or those who are more prone to social anxiety, found that exercise, eating more fruits and vegetables, and more probiotic foods markedly reduced anxiety symptoms. It was across the board. And they found that probiotics also reduced the inflammation in their guts. And because anxiety is often accompanied by gastrointestinal symptoms, reducing gut inflammation really helped alleviate these symptoms. And what else they said was probiotics have been shown to modify the body's response to stress, and stress response is highly linked to mental health disorders such as social anxiety, is what researchers say. So here's what they said about after all this was done. This is what the researchers said. Research on gut bacteria is expanding a lot, and this study is interesting in how it ties together several relevant threads of personality, food intake, and exercise. The information that is collected from a clinical sample of people diagnosed with anxiety disorders and participants who were first-year psychology students in an American liberal arts college means that the results that we have found have implications for broad population health, and we must pay attention to what we're eating to help with gut disorders and also the health disorders that are happening within the brain. So I have another study that I want to tell you about that's really interesting. See, the part of what happens is the bacteria in the gut produces vitamins, and it breaks down our food, and their presence or absence has been linked to all kinds of mental and physical disorders. And I really am living proof of that. A few years ago, a group in Norway examined feces from 55 people and found certain bacteria were more likely to be associated with depressed patients. And so since we're talking about feces and microbes, let's talk about Light, because he is awesome. And Light worked in a small closet room lab for 3 decades. And it was at Texas Tech University Health Science Center. And he'd been working away for examining feces from monkeys. And one day he got samples on a feces from a monkey and placed them in 18 vials and spun them down into centrifuge. And he got really excited because he couldn't believe what he was extracting from the monkeys. He found the microbes here in the gut were making neurochemicals. And nobody knew that at that time. And if they make this stuff here, does it have an influence on the brain, is what he was wondering. Well, guess what? It does. And as humans, we make the same stuff in our bodies. So what we're making in our gut and what's coming out in us, we can test it and see that it's influenced the communication center in our brain and behavioral moods and just about a million other processes in the body. So it's not separate. They call the gut the second brain, and for good reason, because when he found out that the microbes in the gut were making neurochemicals, that really blew up research because they didn't know that before. Light also hoped this would better establish how certain gut microbes influence the brain and functioning almost like the drugs that people take for psychiatric disorders. And he's currently compiling a list of these psychoactive compounds found in the feces of monkeys, and anxiety, depression, and several pediatric disorders, including autism, hyperactivity, have all been linked with gastrointestinal or abnormalities. And I actually did a podcast on autism, and I also wrote an article on my website about it. And it's really across the board. They see such a different type of gut bacteria in those with autism, with disorders where they can't control certain functions of their body, and they all have different bacteria than kids who don't have these disorders. And I've seen this so much, guys. It's so amazing and exciting to me because I see when they change those kids' gut microbes, they start to function better. They start to become alert. They begin to be able to communicate better. A lot of these problems all go away. And I've seen that firsthand many times, and I get a lot of emails about that too. So if you're interested in that, I would head on over to either my website at culturefoodlife.com or check out more of my podcasts and look for the autism and culture foods, because it's so astounding. And it's just food that's helping these kids. It's so amazing to me that by changing what we eat and eating probiotic foods can change our gut microbes, which can in order change so many things in our body, including, problems with, emotional issues, functioning issues, and it is just profound. And I hope you check it out if you need to. So changing your gut microbes is not, it's just food, right? It's not invasive brain surgery. And this is the point. Changing a person's bacteria might be challenging at first. But if you didn't know me, it would be really challenging, but I could help you. Okay. Because here's the deal. Once you start eating these foods and you see the difference and you start to feel better, it's a no-brainer. You're going to want to eat them more and more because you'll see the evidence for yourself. You'll feel better. Your body will start to function better. And then your gut microbes will change, and then you'll crave them. And because a lot of our cravings, like for instance, there's a lot of information about how kids who have like autism crave sugar, like extremely, like way more than most kids. And as they change those gut microbes, that changes, and they don't crave it anymore. But it's really hard to change their diets in the beginning because it's almost like they're addicted to it, and they throw fits when they don't have it. It's so hard for them because their gut microbes are craving it. And also, whenever you have some imbalances in your gut, you always usually have a candida overgrowth, which makes you crave sugar like crazy, makes you want more of that. And as you calm that down, your brain calms down, and you don't want it anymore because your gut microbes aren't craving that anymore because you're not making those kinds of microbes anymore. You've switched your microbiome, which is making you crave different foods. And honestly, guys, and I have seen this in my own life and thousands of others, when you change your microbiome, it becomes easier to eat healthy and because your body will crave it and want it in a way that, most people don't understand that. Most people think, it's just, I just crave it. Well, it's because you've got to not only change your gut microbes and produce ones that crave different foods, they also change your brain chemistry. And I've seen that in myself many times. So it's easier to change your gut microbes than it is to alter your genes. And Dr. Light started this research 3 decades ago, and everyone dismissed him until a couple years ago. And now the National Institute of Mental Health has awarded him 4 grants worth up to $1 million each to spur new research on gut microbes and the role in mental disorders. And this affirms the legitimacy of a field that has long struggled to attract scientific research and credibility. And so that's exciting to me. He is one of the leaders in this research, and so many people are jumping on board now. And Light had one of his longtime colleagues receive one of the 4 grants. And this is what he said. I thought this was great. He said, "What Light thought for more than 25 years has come to fruition. It seems reasonable to say that we might one day use microbes to diagnose neurodevelopment disorders, treat mental illness, and perhaps even fix those in the brain." And I hope that that is on the forefront. I'm seeing a lot of things come up on my feed where a lot of psychiatrists are fixing their guts before they're giving patients drugs, because they've seen there's a lady in New York who's doing a really big, broad. She has a huge psychiatric clinic where she's giving patients probiotics. She switched because she never saw them get completely better when she just gave them drugs, and she started fixing their guts. And now she's got hundreds of patients with hundreds of success stories. And I think that was in one of my other podcasts on mental health. And I don't have her name right here with me, but that was in that podcast, if you'd like to take a look at that too, because it's an exciting field to see, so many things changing, so many things happening that, changing what you eat works, guys. It did for me and has for so many people that I help that come to my site, that come to write me emails, and the people that come to my classes. I see it across the board. I had one lady that was sitting in one of my classes, and she was in the front row and she was crying. And she was telling me how she had gotten off of all of her medications for depression and anxiety. And she was just grateful. She was sitting in the front row of my class and just so happy to be there and so happy to have healed and to feel better. And I can attest to the fact that it works, because I know I was very, very different when I wasn't eating these foods. Things were harder on me. It was harder to get through life. It was a struggle. I felt like I was an uphill battle all the time. And that's why I continue to do what I'm doing, because it changed me so profoundly. And when something does that, you pay attention to what's doing that. So what are the foods that I recommend for this? The first one that I would really recommend would be kefir. It has the most probiotics in it, 50 plus bacteria and good yeast that we need. We don't talk a lot about good yeast, but we need those too. And there's 50 plus in kefir. And I hear over and over again that kefir is the one that helps so many people, like for instance, with autism, and with other people experiencing anxiety. I know for myself, it's one of my calm down foods, I call it. It's the one thing I reach for when I feel super stressed. Kombucha is that way too. Kombucha is fantastic. It gives me, a lot of help, like when my adrenals are struggling. So do cultured vegetables, because they are loaded with vitamin C, which is what your body needs to cope with any kind of stress or any kind of like immune system function or autoimmune disease. If you're struggling with any of those, you really need extra vitamin C, because that's what boosts your immune system. And you need a lot of B vitamins and you need a lot of vitamin C. And those two things combined together are two of the most powerful ways to help your immune system or to boost your body in any way to help cope with stress, anxiety. Your body's going to use all that stuff, all those B and C vitamins up really fast because you're under stress. So it's using it up. And so you need more of them to keep yourself calm. And these foods have a lot of them. I love water kefir too. I do kombucha more than I do water kefir, but I love water kefir too. I like coconut water kefir the best. I think it has the most calming effect on the body. And it's super easy to make. And I like the taste a lot. I think that coconut water is a great way to make coconut water kefir, because coconut, it has properties in it that other things don't have. It has a lot of electrolytes in it. And so the body really is able to use this in a powerful way to help you rehydrate yourself, to give you some of the nutrients that perhaps you're missing, like potassium, manganese. There's a lot of things in there that really help you. And I tell you, I have all these recipes free on my site on how to make them. And if you go to my website, and I'll try to put these links down here on how to make all these different foods. But if you go to my website, and you'll see it, there's at the top bar there, you'll see a little smiley pot. It's a little pot with a face in it that has a smiley face. And it'll say start here. And if you click that start here button, everything that you need, how to make kombucha, kefir, cultured vegetables, water kefir, everything I've got that tells you the how-to facts is in that drop-down menu. And it makes it really easy for you to find stuff. And inside of all those links and things, there's videos and recipes and how-to guides. And it's a powerful tool for you to get well. And I do make it very easy because I don't do anything hard because I'm super busy. And when I was first starting these foods, guys, I was really sick. So I didn't do anything hard because I didn't have the energy to do anything hard. I was just barely getting through my day. So a lot of people make this complicated. I do not. I've been doing this for 17, 18 years. So I know all the tips and tricks. And there's a lot of people that are just jumping on the bandwagon saying, teaching people how to do fermented foods and things like that, but they haven't been doing it for very long. So they kind of don't always understand the processes, or they make it super complicated. You got to use this and you got to do that. For instance, one of the things that drives me crazy is people tell them they have to pound the cabbage for 10 minutes when they make cultured vegetables. And that is not true. The bacteria breaks down the cabbage, so you don't need to do that. A lot of other people say you've got to do, when you're making kefir, you got to rinse your kefir grains in water, and you don't do that because it can kill them. You don't do that. You can use a stainless steel strainer. You don't have to use a plastic one. I've been doing it for a long time. You need to use weights to weight down your cultured vegetables. That's unnecessary. And there's just a lot of things that I do that other people say you have to do that I have learned through the years you don't have to do. So I make it super simple. Because I do it all the time. I've lived this, guys. I live this every day. I do it all the time. It's a part of my daily life. So I'm going to tell you the truth. Whatever I believe and I know that I've been doing, I'm going to tell you how to do it. And I'm going to put a link down there. It says 11 tips that nobody else talks about but me. So I'm going to give you the tips and tricks to make this super easy for you so it doesn't feel hard. It's not hard, guys. It's just new to you. And you're just chopping up vegetables and putting them in a glass jar and putting a culture in them, covering with water. Kombucha is just tea and sugar that you ferment, so the sugar gets eaten out by the bacteria. Kefir is just either dairy or non-dairy milk with a culture in it. It sits on your counter for 24 hours. It's not hard. And I'm here if you need some help because I know how to do this. And I want you to be successful, because when you're successful, it changes everybody. It changes everybody around you. So this is my podcast for today. We're so lucky to have these bodies. I know we don't think about it like that, but I'm really lucky to have a body and be living here. And I want to take care of it because it has carried me through a lot. It's my vessel on this planet. And sometimes I talk about it in third person, but I treat it like I would a friend, because when it feels good, it lets me know. It makes me shine. It makes me happy. And it makes me feel good. And when it's not happy, Donna ain't happy. So it is a powerful tool in your wellness. And I hope I can help you and encourage you to treat it like a special friend and to treat it right, because it will change everything for you. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Thanks for listening. And I hope you'll tune in next Tuesday, and have a good one, guys.